Hey folks, Will here again with Happily Ever Outdoors. So in this video I wanted to do something a little different from just a traditional gear review, and we're actually going to do a side-by-side comparison of the Mora Companion and the Mora Companion HD. Now, I'd venture to say that the Mora Companion is one of Mora of Sweden's most popular knives. It's been around for a long time and is just a really solid, all-around, general-purpose knife for things like camping, fishing, light bushcraft tasks, all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely a tried and true design, and you can find a ton of reviews on YouTube and elsewhere on the knife, and it's been very well received. This knife does come in several other different models that we're not going to touch on in this video, but the two that are really the most well known are the original Companion and the Companion HD or Heavy Duty. And one thing I don't really hear talked about that much is what exactly is the difference between these two knives and which one is going to be right for you depending on your needs. So to get started, let's just take a quick look at both of these knives and we'll go over the key differences. Alright, so looking at both of these knives, initially they look almost identical, and they are very, very close. Both of these have a paracord wrap that I did on them real quick. It's just a real fast wrap, just, you know, for looks and to carry a little extra cordage. If you couldn't guess, this knife belongs to my wife. This is the regular Companion, and this is in stainless steel. This is my knife, which is the Companion HD in carbon steel. So with that being said, the regular Companion is available in both stainless and carbon steel, whereas the Companion HD, at least at this time, to the very best of my knowledge, is only available in carbon steel. As far as price is concerned, the Companion HD is only slightly more expensive than the original. Generally within the US, especially if you're looking on Amazon.com, and I'll have those links in the description below, it goes for right around $15, whereas the Companion HD goes for right about $20 on average. In regards to the blade length, both knives are identical at 4.1 inches. However, the original Companion's total length is 8.6, whereas the Companion HD is 8.8, so slightly longer. You've also got a difference in the blade thickness. The original Companion comes in at 2.5 millimeters for the stainless steel. I believe that the carbon steel version of this may be slightly thinner. If you have any comments on that, feel free to leave it below. But I believe from my research, again, carbon steel is slightly thinner, and you've got a blade thickness of 3.2 millimeters on the HD. So a very definite difference in the blade thickness, hence the heavy duty. And you also have a difference in the weight. The original comes in at 4.1 ounces, whereas the HD comes in at 4.8. So not a huge difference, but enough that you can feel the difference in your hand. The handle, again, is slightly different. The HD is longer, as I originally mentioned. Let me hold that better so you guys can see. So you can kind of see the difference there. So definitely noticeably shorter, and you can see when you hold the two side by side, there's a little bit of difference in the swell and kind of the shape of it. So the original is definitely a little bit smaller in the hand than the HD. One other difference that may or may not matter to you is that, to the best of my knowledge at this time, the Companion HD only comes in two colors. You can either get the military green color that I have here, or you can get it in orange with the sheath in the matching color, whereas the original Companion has a little more variety to the colors. They have those two colors along with, I believe, like 5 or 6 others. So if you're really specific about a certain color, for example, if you're looking for a pink one like this, you can't get that in the HD. So in spite of the differences that I mentioned, these knives do function more or less basically the same. You've got the same kind of plastic sheath right there with a belt clip, which is not the greatest sheath in the world, to be honest, especially if you want to wear it on your hip, but it is functional, it will work. You've got the same basic shape, the same basic ergonomics, the same rubberized grip on the handle, which is actually very nice. Same grind that you would see, just a normal Scandi grind, and these are all made out of Sandvik steel, either stainless or carbon. They've also got the same grind on the spine, which is polished, by the way. There's no hard 90s on this. This is polished and smooth, unlike some of the cheaper Moras where the spine is completely, unfinished. So having that polished spine, depending on your preferences, may be a positive or a negative for you, but that is the same on both the HD and the original companion. So then the question becomes, which one is right for you? Well, obviously, size is one of the first noticeable difference. So if you're somebody with larger hands, either way, this isn't a big knife, but you're probably going to want to go with the HD just because it does give you a little more girth, a little more length to hold on to with the handle. Whereas if you're somebody with smaller hands, whether that means you're just a guy with smaller hands, or maybe you're a woman, or maybe this is for one of your kids, something like that, then the original companion might be a better way for you to go, just because you do have that smaller grip. So that's really not a positive or negative. That's just dependent on the size of your hands and your personal preference. Another thing to consider is that the companion original is $5 cheaper. So if this is a knife you're basically getting to throw into a hiking pack or a bug out bag, something like that, it's not really for daily use, or maybe you're looking to get a couple of them so you can stash them in different places, that might be a better way to go just for budgetary purposes. But if this is a knife you plan on using every day, and maybe you plan on being a little bit harder on it, then the HD, might be the smart choice, just because you've got that little more thickness to the blade. So if you're trying to do some really light batoning, now I would not recommend doing anything heavy at all with this knife. Even though this Mora is fairly sturdy, this is not a full tang knife. I guess it would fall kind of into like the rat tang territory. I'm not even sure, that doesn't actually quite apply either. But it's not full tang is the point, so you could potentially break it if you're doing heavy batoning. But if you do expect, again, that you might be a little bit rough on it, HD might be the right one for you. Lastly, something to consider is whether you need a stainless steel knife. Now, I know everybody automatically, their mind goes to carbon steel. Gotta go carbon, gotta go carbon, gotta go carbon. But that's not necessarily the case. Not every knife needs to be a carbon steel knife. The reason I specifically got stainless steel for my wife was because, generally speaking, when we go camping together, kind of the way we manage the chores, I get the fire going, I get all that started, she starts the food prep, we're getting a meal ready, and then I'll do a lot of the cooking, or we'll cook together. So in that sense, having stainless steel made perfect sense, because for her it's essentially going to be like a kitchen knife for while we're out camping. So no need for carbon steel. You're not going to be doing bushcraft tasks. You're not trying to strike a faro with it. And as far as maintenance is concerned, if you're cutting up a lot of food, fruits, vegetables, all that stuff, stainless steel just makes sense. But if you're getting the knife more for bushcraft and that kind of thing, then carbon steel is probably going to be the way most people want to go, just for the ease of sharpening and all the stuff that goes along with carbon steel. Another factor might be if you plan on using this knife around salt water, for example. Maybe you're wanting to take this doing fishing in salt water, and you don't want your knife to just get corroded quickly. So stainless steel, again, would be the logical option in that scenario. So not necessarily a good or a bad. Again, it just depends on what you plan on using this knife for. Either way, in my experience so far, both knives sharpen very easily, and they'll hold a very, very sharp edge. So regardless of which steel you choose, I don't think you're gonna have problems with that. But again, if stainless steel is what you're looking for, you cannot get the Companion HD in stainless, so you will need to go with the regular Companion. So I hope this video might have been helpful for some of you guys. Maybe you're looking online and you're kind of on the fence over which one you want to buy, and you just don't have them in hand to really look and compare the two. Hopefully this gave you a little more clarity. At this time, I actually do not have full reviews on these knives on my channel. If I do those in the future, I will drop the links in the description below. However, I'll go ahead and throw in a couple of links to some other reviews from some really reputable channels out there that I follow, if you guys want to follow up a little more specifically on these knives. But again, this is a knife that just has been around for so long, and it's just generally accepted as a good budget bushcraft knife, good camping knife, all that stuff. So I didn't feel like there's really too much of a reason for me to argue that point. But I will go ahead and drop all applicable links in the description below to help you guys out. And if you've got any specific questions or concerns, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Or maybe you've had a really good experience or a really bad experience with one or the other of these knives. Feel free to share that for the benefit of the group as well. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video, and of course, thank you for your continued support. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and mash that thumbs up button, and if you haven't already, why don't you go ahead and subscribe. Until next time, stay happy and stay outdoors.